So Cleveland lost to Denver. Knicks lose. That means the Knicks still fourth in the conference, a half game behind Cleveland. Very uncharacteristic fourth quarter tonight, Allen, for the Knicks. They came into this game 38-2 in games this year in which they were leading after 3. But they give up 38 fourth quarter points, and they go only 10 of 17 from the line in the fourth quarter, and they lose another tough one.
Yeah, and we'll talk about how this game ended, but let's talk about why this game turned. And it's the last 5 minutes of the third quarter up until 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Knicks were outscored 22-5. That was it right there. You rely so much on your starters to get you back in this game. Your bench has to help you in some way, has to hold at least a lead when you're playing at home. And that didn't happen. This has been a conversation now we've been having about this team since the All-Star break when it comes to bench minutes and how critical they are. And we see in certain games the Knicks cannot hold a lead or can't keep distance from another team or even play catch-up when the bench comes in. It's an issue that really reared its ugly head tonight in this game. Then, let's talk about how the game ended. And you just talked about it when we watched back some of that stuff. Jalen Brunson drives to the basket and gets clobbered by Lou Dort. That should have been an and one. They did not get the call on that play. And so it sets up for a game winner, a tough shot by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's why he's an MVP candidate. That's an incredible shot for him to make, falling away opposite hand as well. And speaking of hand, Deuce McBride's probably going to watch that back and say, should have had my hand up on that one.
Well, the thing with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, what makes him so effective, he's about 6'6", 6'7".
Long arms.
And Deuce McBride really has a height disadvantage in that matchup. So it's close.
Yeah, but I don't think it was that. That's a great shot. Like, that's a hard shot to make. Again, turning away, fading, and then shooting with the backhand. That is a difficult shot to make. It's a great shot that he made. And you just watch right here. First of all, Jeffrey's got to be better on the inbounds.
He's on him.
He's on him, but that's a tough shot in rhythm. Just a turn in. These guys practice those kind of shots all the time. Jalen Brunson shot at the end, too. That looked good. Good release, good finish, good everything. He just a little short on that one. He easily could have won this game with that very same looking shot. They practice these all the time, but you have to tip your cap sometimes when a player makes a great shot, and that's what SGA did. Here's Jalen again. Watch Brunson turn and look. It's a good look. Gets it off. Just short. That's all it was. Just short. It's make or miss league. You know, we hear this all the time. So you can't really complain about either look. But I'll tell you what, the one before, Brunson gets hit. I mean, not just hit, he gets clobbered. That's not a theme, right?
Foul. That is a theme. We heard Tom Thibodeau postgame against the Spurs bring it up. We see this time after.
He had 8 free throw attempts in this game.
Is it because Brunson is just so effective at making the shot that the refs are not paying attention to the contact?
Paying attention. I would hope they would be.
Paying attention is not the right use of the word.
It's because he's so strong. A lot of times he'll get hit, and it doesn't look like he's getting hit, right? Because he gets. There's a couple of times even in this game after the release he gets hit. But I'm telling you, like, there are just, to me, frustrating moments. Tom Thibodeau talked about it after the game in San Antonio. Watch this here. Dort comes in, and watch the hip. Boom. That's a hip check.
There's no way that's not
Jacob
a foul.
Trouba would love a play like that on his end. Ryan Lindgren, Rangers. But this is basketball. When you make hip-to-hip contact on a layup finish, that's a foul. And again, you know, we'll find out tomorrow that they'll say there was contact. It should have been a foul, but it's too late now. He should have been at the line with the opportunity to make it a 2-point game to force the Thunder. At least the best they could do is take this thing into overtime. He doesn't get that opportunity. And again, there's other reasons why. As I mentioned, the bench minutes were, to me, top of the list of my concerns after this game. But the way this game finished with a non-call there, after Tom Thibodeau already talked about this after the game in San Antonio, continues to be a problem and a frustration for the Knicks and for Jalen Brunson.
So the Knicks outplayed in the fourth quarter, but they were dominant in the third quarter. They put up 39 points. They outscored OKC 39-25 in the third quarter. First half, they went 4 of 21 from downtown, but in the third quarter, they went 6 of 12 from downtown, and they got themselves pointed in the right direction.
It's the magic of the three-point shot in the NBA is when you start making them, it's just the whole game starts to turn. The Knicks in that first half were getting good looks. They weren't getting them. They weren't knocking them down. They started the third quarter by knocking down a couple of. Brunson hit a few, assisted on one, and it seemed like the floodgates started to open. It's amazing, a three-point shot. You make 1 or 2, and suddenly everybody is in rhythm. It's the most contagious shot in the league, and you saw it happen right there. And the Knicks got into such a great rhythm, took a lead, and it just felt like, you know what? They got control of this game. Their defense was really good for the most part in this game. And so you had that feeling when they took the double-digit lead that they could, okay, you just got to get this thing into fourth quarter. You've mentioned the record that they have.
38-2.
When they have a lead going into the fourth quarter, and especially in their own building, it felt like they had an opportunity to get a win against a really good Oklahoma City Thunder team. And then the bench minutes happened. And those bench minutes, like I said, to me are a concern when you consider 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, first 4 or 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and you're outscored 22-5. And the whole game turns, and now suddenly in a dogfight, asking your stars, your starters, your Jalen Brunson, who just comes off an exhausting 61-point performance, come back in and get us back into this thing again. It's a lot to ask night in and night out. The bench has to do better.
You're talking about the bench, and that goes along with the fact that Hart played 46 minutes and McBride played 45. Can't take him out of the game.
Right.
Because there's just not enough confidence in the guys right now coming off the bench. That's why it would be really helpful to get Randall and OG Anunoby back.
Of course.
For obvious reasons, to slide everybody back to help with some bench support.
I mean, that is the depth conversation that we continue to have with this team, and that has been the thing. When we saw them in January, they were almost the perfect team because of all the pieces and how they fit, and then the bench was able to give you something, but because you're taking from the bench. Now it's a deficit of the players that you have to push into the starting lineup. It does weaken it, and the guys that they acquired at the trade deadline that were supposed to help bolster that, and Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic, they have not provided yet enough at this point to be able to give you that buffer when the starters go out, when your scorers go out, to keep giving you some offense and to keep leads, maintain them, and also don't let a deficit turn into a bigger one if you're chasing the scoreboard.
All right, so the Knicks are up by 10 after 3, and to your point, the first couple of sequences of the fourth quarter were so important because I walked down the hall and I came back and it was 1 point game, just like in the first two minutes of the quarter.
And that's the NBA again. A turnover, like you can't finish at the rim. They hit a couple of shots, momentum turns real quick, and this Thunder team, they've got good depth. They've got guys that can score, as we're learning from Jalen Williams and the performance that he had tonight. What confidence that he had here. Now this is later on in the game, and you missed 2 free throws, but the work by Josh Hart allows you to get a 3, and that ties it up right there. And then, of course, Deuce McBride knocking down a corner 3. The Knicks felt like, once again, they were able to survive this thing and just had to get a couple of stops. Big shot there from Williams. Such a confident player. 14 of 18, but he missed some big free throws late. And then this right here, the finish. How is there not an N1 on that play? Daquan Jeffries needs you tougher there on the inbounds pass, but that's a great shot by a great player. Baseline, you have a chance to win, and Jalen Brunson gets his chance on a very similar shot, just short for the loss. A little more frustration for the Knicks as they cannot climb in the standings.
OKC missed 12 free throws. The Knicks missed 11 free throws, and I mentioned they missed 7 of those 11 in the fourth quarter.
The bench scoring 36-18. It's hard to overcome that type of scoring.
And I also got to point out Jalen Williams of OKC, who had a career high 36 against the Knicks in OKC in late December. He went for 33 in this one on 14 of 18 shooting. If you haven't heard of Jalen Williams or watched him play, this guy's going to be all-star. He is really amazing.
Remember about 10 years ago when the Thunder had Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, then they had James Harden. He's like sort of James Harden. He's that player you're just learning about, but they know is a special player. Time will tell if they can keep all these guys together because of the money, how much it costs to keep these guys together. But while on rookie deals, they've got themselves a great team. What a confident player, high efficiency player, strong body, and he was letting all the Knicks players know, you're not big enough to guard me. And that was showing itself throughout this game.
OKC challenging for the top spot in the whole West. They do clinch a playoff spot. Meantime, the Knicks situation. As we told you at the top of the show here, Cleveland was blown out by Denver, but the Knicks can't capitalize. So with 8 games to go, Alan, the Knicks are 4th, a half game behind Cleveland. Remember, the Knicks own the tiebreaker against the Cavs because they won the head-to-head matchup. But 8 games left in the regular season right now. The Knicks a half game behind Cleveland, 4th overall in the Eastern Conference. Bucks idle. They are still 2nd.
Magic numbers at 5 still for the Knicks, by the way, now with 8 to go to clinch a playoff spot. Top 6. That's important also to keep in mind. You want to avoid the worst they can do right now, I believe, is 7th, but you don't want to be in the play-in at all. So top 6 is most important, but also obviously at least maintaining something in the top 4.
All right, so the Knicks lose another tough one. Great game against the Spurs Friday. Great jobs to be able to watch.
This has been it's been a lot of fun.
These have been a lot of fun to watch, even though neither of these last couple of games have resulted in Knicks wins.